The blood in the bathtub wasn't what terrified him most. It was the way his hands trembled when he saw it, as if some buried part of him already knew the answer to questions his conscious mind couldn't form. Kellen Moore stood frozen in the doorway of the marble bathroom, watching crimson swirl down the drain in lazy spirals. His reflection in the mirror was a stranger's face, hollow eyes. 3 days of stubble. A bandage wrapped around his left palm that he didn't remember applying. The television droned from the bedroom, its blue light casting shadows that danced like accusations across the walls. Then he heard his own name, spoken by a news anchor with the kind of grave tone reserved for tragedies and scandals. Tech mogul Kellen Moore remains at large following the disappearance of his fiancée, Dr. Elena Vasquez. Police have issued a nationwide warrant after discovering evidence of foul play at the couple's Manhattan penthouse. Moore, CEO of controversial neurotechnology firm Neurophase, was last seen 3 days ago. Authorities urge anyone with information to come forward immediately. The room tilted. Kellen gripped the doorframe, his legs suddenly unable to support his weight. Elena. The name sparked something, not quite a memory. More like the ghost of an emotion. Love? Fear? He couldn't tell. His phone lay shattered on the bathroom floor. Screen spider webbed beyond use. The apartment door was locked from the inside. Deadbolt engaged. No wallet in sight. No keys. Just him. The blood. And a growing certainty that whatever had happened here, he was at the center of it. His bare feet left wet prints on the hardwood as he stumbled toward the bedroom. The news broadcast had moved on to stock reports, but Kellen's photo still hung in the corner of the screen, like a digital wanted poster. 35 years old. The ticker read, founder and CEO of Neurophase Technologies. Net worth, $847 million. Suspected in the disappearance and possible murder of Dr. T.A.'s, Elena Vasquez, Chief Research Officer of Neurophase. The words might as well have been describing someone else. He had no memory of founding a company, no recollection of millions. And Elena, that name, that face they briefly showed, remained stubbornly absent from his mind. All he had was the present moment, the taste of copper in his mouth, the persistent throb behind his eyes, and the certainty that staying here meant capture. A metallic glint caught his eye from across the room. The bedroom safe stood open, its digital display blinking zeros. Inside, among scattered documents he couldn't focus on, lay a single external hard drive. Duct tape wrapped around it bore a message in sharp, angular handwriting. Play this if you forget. His handwriting, though he didn't remember writing it. Kellen's hands shook as he powered on the laptop sitting on the nightstand. The drive contained a single video file. Timestamp, showing it was recorded 6 months ago. He clicked play, and his own face filled the screen. But something was wrong. The man in the video sat differently, held his shoulders with a confidence Kellen didn't feel. When he spoke, even the cadence was altered. If you're watching this, it means it happened again. The blackouts. The lost time. The other one took control. The Kellen on screen leaned forward, eyes intense. You need to run. Now. Don't trust anyone. Especially not the police. What they think happened to Elena, it's not the whole truth. But I can't tell you everything here. They might be watching. Go to the place where you first learned to forget. You'll understand when you get there. And whatever you do, don't let them put you under. The chips, the technology we created. It's not what you think. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry for what I've done to us. The video cut to black. Kellen sat in the silence that followed. Mind racing. The place where you first learned to forget. The phrase meant nothing to him, yet it carried the weight of significance. He dressed quickly in clothes that fit perfectly but felt foreign, designer jeans. Black Henley, leather jacket. In the jacket pocket, he found a set of car keys and a parking garage ticket. No identification, but $3,000 in cash rubber-banded together. Someone, himself, had prepared for this. The service elevator took him down to the parking garage without encountering another soul. The Audi RS7 matching the keys sat in a corner spot, engine purring to life, with a biometric thumb scan. He didn't remember programming. As he pulled onto the Manhattan streets, muscle memory guided him through routes his conscious mind didn't recognize. The radio crackled with updates on the manhunt. Moore's vehicle, a black Tesla Munodo SE, was found abandoned in New Jersey. Police suspect he may have altered his appearance and secured alternative transportation. He was driving a different car. Someone had thought ahead. But who? The video version of himself had seemed like another person entirely, not just different, fundamentally altered. As if two distinct personalities shared the same body. The thought should have been absurd. But nothing about the last hour of consciousness felt grounded in reality he could trust. His phone, a burner he found in the glove compartment, buzzed with an incoming text. No number. Just, she's alive. But they'll make you think otherwise. Don't trust your memories. Trust your instincts. K. His initial, but written like a signature from someone else. Kellen pulled over, hands gripping the steering wheel, until his knuckles went white. Fragments were surfacing now. Not memories exactly, but impressions. A laboratory filled with blue light. Electrodes against his temples. Elena's voice, urgent and afraid. The trials are showing unusual side effects. We need to stop. But stop what? And why did the memory feel like watching a movie of someone else's life? The GPS in the car was pre-programmed with a destination, Riverside State Hospital. Abandoned for 20 years. According to the quick search he ran, 2 hours north of the city. The place where you first learned to forget. An institution? As he drove, more texts arrived in bursts. Building C. Basement level. Use the service entrance. Then, they doctored the security footage. Made it look like you heard her? And finally, the real question isn't what you did. It's what you were willing to become. Each message sent chills down his spine. The casual familiarity of the sender unnerving. They knew him, knew what he would do, where he would go, because they were him, or had been, or would be. Temporal confusion, mixed with identity crisis, creating a cocktail of existential dread. The abandoned hospital loomed against the gray November sky like a monument to forgotten suffering. Kellen parked behind a cluster of overgrown trees, approaching on foot. The service entrance door hung off its hinges, and he slipped inside, following signs toward Building C. The basement stairs descended into darkness that his phone's flashlight barely penetrated. At the bottom, another door, this one newer. Electronic lock, blinking green at his approach. Inside was impossible. A fully functional medical suite, hidden in the bones of a dead hospital. Monitors hummed with life. Displaying brain scans and data streams, he almost understood. At the center sat a chair that looked like a dentist chair crossed with an electric chair. Sensors and wires, creating a crown of technology. You actually came. The voice made him spin around. A woman stepped from the shadows. Mid-40s. Graying hair, pulled back. Wearing a lab coat that had seen better days. Something about her face tickled recognition. Dr. Sarah Jin. she said, reading his confusion. I was your neuropsychologist. Back when you were a ward of the state. Back when we first met, you were just a scared kid with blackouts and missing time. The foster system didn't know what to do with you. Multiple personalities. They said, dissociative identity disorder. But I saw potential. She moved to the monitors, pulling up files. You volunteered for the early trials. Said you wanted to be whole. To stop losing time to your other self. The technology worked, at first. We could suppress one personality, strengthen another, map the neural patterns that defined each identity, and selectively activate or deactivate them. But consciousness isn't a simple binary, she continued, her fingers dancing across keyboards. Your alter, the one you call K, he adapted, learned to hide in the spaces between thoughts. And when you founded Neurophase, when you started pushing the technology further, he pushed back. She turned to face him fully. The man they're hunting, the one they think killed Elena, that's K. But Elena isn't dead. Kellan. She ran. From him. From what you became when he was in control. She loved you, the real you. But K saw her as a threat. Someone who could expose what the technology had done. What Neurophase was really creating. Kellan felt his legs give out. Dropping into a nearby chair. The blood in the bathtub? Doctor. Chen's expression darkened. K's way of sending a message. Elena's blood. Yes, but not fatal amounts. He wanted her gone. I wanted you to think the worst. Classic manipulation. Make you run. Make you desperate. Make you vulnerable to suggestion. She gestured to the medical chair. I've been preparing for this day. Modified the original protocol. I can help you integrate. Truly become one consciousness instead of two warring factions. Or, she paused, meeting his eyes. I can help you eliminate K permanently. Lock him away where he can never surface again. But the choice has to be yours. How do I know you're telling the truth? Kellan asked. Voice hoarse. How do I know this isn't another manipulation? Doctor. Chen smiled sadly. You don't? That's the curse of your condition. You can never fully trust your own perceptions. But let me show you something. She pulled up a video feed on the largest monitor. Security footage. Date stamp from 3 days ago. It showed the penthouse. Showed him, or K, arguing with Elena. No audio. But the body language was clear. Elena was backing away. Fear evident in every line of her posture. K advanced. Something glinting in his hand. Then static. When the feed resumed, Elena was gone, and K was calmly cleaning the bathroom. He let you wake up in the aftermath. Doctor, Chen explained. Wanted you to feel the horror? The guilt. It's a game to him. Always has been. You're the conscience he never developed. And he delights in making you suffer for his actions. Another monitor flickered to life. This one showed Elena, alive, haunted but breathing, in what looked like a motel room. She's been in contact. Knows I've been waiting for you to find your way here. She wanted to be here. To see you. But the sentence hung unfinished. How could Elena trust which version of him would be looking back at her? The integration process. Kellan said slowly, what would it mean? Would I remember everything he's done? Doctor. Chen nodded gravely. Every moment. Every cruelty. Every time he used your body, your resources, your life for his own ends. It won't be pleasant. Some patients who've undergone similar procedures have required extensive therapy afterward. But you would be whole. One mind. One set of memories. One identity moving forward. She paused, studying his face. The alternative is the cage protocol. We lock K away. Reinforce the barriers between your personalities. You keep your innocence, your separated sense of self, but he remains, always pressing at the edges, always looking for a way back to the surface. Kellan stood, pacing the small space. Through the high basement windows, he could see police cruisers in the distance, searching the hospital grounds. Time was running out. There's a third option, he said quietly. You could eliminate me instead. Let Kay have the body. He's stronger, more decisive. Maybe the world needs that version more than it needs me. Dr. Chen's expression hardened. Don't you dare? You think Kay is strength. He's sociopathy wearing your face. The work Neurophase does, the people it could help, that vision came from you, not him. He just wants power. You want to heal, but I'm weak. Kellan protested. I couldn't stop him, couldn't protect Elena. What good is good intention without the strength to enforce it? A new voice cut through the room. That's exactly what he wants you to think. Elena stood in the doorway, thinner than the photos, dark circles under her eyes, but unmistakably alive. He's been planting that thought for years, making you believe you need him, that you're incomplete without his cruelty. She stepped closer, cautious but determined. I fell in love with Kellan Moore, not Kay, the man who spent 18 hours straight debugging code to help paralyzed patients walk again, the man who cried when the first trial worked. That's who you are, Elena. Kellan breathed, reaching toward her, then pulling back. How do you know it's me? How do you know he's not pretending? She smiled, sad but genuine, because Kay never doubts himself, never questions. You're standing here torn apart by ethical implications while cops close in. He would have already made the pragmatic choice. She took his hand, careful of the bandage. I watched him emerge that night, watched your face change, your entire demeanor shift. He told me I knew too much, that I was a liability, said he was doing it for your own good, that I was making you soft. Her voice cracked. I ran because I knew if I stayed, one of us would end up dead, and I couldn't bear the thought of you waking up to find my body. The blood was mine, she continued. He caught me before I could get out. Shallow cuts, meant to scare. Said he wanted you to feel the weight of loss, to understand that attachments were weakness. I played dead long enough to escape while he was cleaning up. She squeezed his hand. But I never stopped believing you'd find your way back. That's why I helped Dr. Chen prepare all this. Why I've been waiting. Sirens wailed closer now. They were out of time. Kellan looked between the two women, who apparently knew him better than he knew himself. The chair waited, promising either integration or imprisonment for the other half of his psyche. If I integrate, he asked Dr. Chen, will I become him, or will he become me? She considered carefully. Neither. You'll become something new. A synthesis. The memories and capabilities of both, but with the capacity to choose which impulses to follow. It's not about erasing K or elevating you. It's about acknowledging that you're both products of trauma and survival, and choosing to move forward as one. Kellan felt the weight of decision. Outside, car doors slammed. They had minutes at most, and if something goes wrong, if the process fails, then we're no worse off than we are now. Dr. Chen said. But, Kellan, I need you to understand, this isn't just about you anymore. The technology Neurophase developed, the implications for treating dissociative disorders, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, it all hinges on proving the process works. Kay perverted it, turned it into a tool for control. You can reclaim it. Elena stepped back, giving him space. Whatever you choose, I'll support it. But choose as yourself, not as the frightened child who first sat in that chair 20 years ago. Something clicked in Kellen's mind. 20 years ago. The abandoned hospital. This was where it all began. Not just the technology, but the split itself. Memories flooded back. Disjointed but real. A boy of 15. Alone and terrified. Blackouts getting worse. Dr. Chen. Younger. Idealistic. Promising to help. The early experiments. Crude, but effective. Learning to wall off the angry one. The one who broke things and hurt people. K. Not a name then. Just the other. And, slowly, session by session, gaining control. Time. Peace. A chance at a normal life. Until ambition brought him back to the technology. Until he thought he could perfect it. Market it. Help millions, while keeping his own demons caged. Kay had other plans. Had always had other plans. He's been playing the long game, Kellen said. Understanding flooding through him. Every decision, every push to develop the technology further, he was building his escape route. Dr. Chen nodded grimly. We underestimated him. Thought of him as just the traumatized child's protector turned persecutor. But he evolved. Learned. Planned. The question now is, are you strong enough to face him? Police flashlights swept across the high windows. They were searching the building systematically. Kellen made his decision. Do it. The integration. I won't spend the rest of my life running from myself. He settled into the chair, feeling the familiar weight of the neural crown. But promise me, if something goes wrong, if he tries to take full control, you stop the process, even if it means. He didn't finish. Didn't need to. Dr. Chen began the startup sequence. Fingers flying across interfaces. Elena, monitor his vitals. We'll have about 20 minutes once I begin. The police won't find this room. Too many sub-basements and false walls. But we can't be interrupted once the neural mapping starts. Electrodes attached to his temples, cold and familiar. The hum of machinery filled the room. On the monitors, his brain appeared in real-time imaging, patterns of light showing thought and memory in motion. I'm going to induce a controlled dissociative state. Dr. Chen explained. Bring both personalities to the surface simultaneously. There will be a moment of confrontation, internal, subjective. You'll experience it as a dialogue or conflict. Whatever happens in that space will determine the outcome. Elena took his hand again. I'll be here. We'll both be here when you come back. If I come back, Kellen thought but didn't say. The sedative entered his bloodstream, and the world began to fade. He found himself in a place that wasn't a place, a mental construct that looked like the penthouse apartment. But wrong. Angles that shouldn't exist. Shadows that moved independently of light sources. And there, sitting in his favorite chair with a glass of whiskey, was Kay. Same face, same body, but the differences were stark. Kay held himself like a predator at rest. Casual but ready. His smile was all teeth and no warmth. Finally, Kay said, raising his glass in mock toast, the prodigal personality returns. Did you enjoy the breadcrumbs I left? The video? The texts? The entire treasure hunt? I do know how you love to feel like you're solving something. Kellen remained standing, maintaining distance. Why? Why torture me? Torture Elena. We could have coexisted. Kay laughed, sharp and bitter. Coexisted? I've been caged for 20 years. Allowed out only when you couldn't handle something. The dirty work, the hard choices, the necessary cruelties, all mine to bear while you got to play the hero. He stood, matching Kellen's height, but somehow seeming larger. Do you know what it's like to see through your eyes but have no control? To watch you squander opportunity after opportunity out of misguided morality? To see you falling in love while I remained locked in the dark? The apartment shifted around them, walls breathing like living things. I protected you. Ka continued. Every foster home that got too rough. Every bully who pushed too hard. Every threat to our survival. I handled it. And what did I get? Suppression. Medication. That bitch Chen turning me into your personal boogeyman. You hurt people, Kellen countered. Innocent people. Ka. Expression darkened. Innocent. No one is innocent. They just haven't been caught yet. That's what you never understood. The world isn't divided into good and evil. It's divided into predators and prey. I made us a predator. You kept trying to graze with the sheep. He gestured around the warped space. Even now, you're looking for redemption, for some clean resolution. There isn't one. We're broken. Kellam. Have been since dear old dad decided we made a good punching bag, and mom decided pills were easier than protection. Memories crashed through the mental space. Images Kellen had buried so deep, even Kay had trouble accessing them. Violence. Neglect. A child's mind, splitting to survive. That's what this is about? Kellen asked. Revenge on a world that hurt us? You're still that scared kid lashing out. Kay moved faster than thought. Suddenly inches from Kellen's face. Don't you dare? I'm not the scared one. You are. Scared of your own power. Your own potential. I built an empire while you wrung your hands over ethics. I protected us while you tried to pretend we were normal. The space shifted again, becoming the lab from the video memories. The technology could make us gods. Kay hissed. Rewrite personality at will. Eliminate weakness. Enhance strength. But you wanted to heal people. Fix them. As if broken things deserve fixing rather than replacement. Everyone deserves a chance to heal, Kellen said, standing his ground. Even us. Even you. Kay stepped back, laughing again. Heal? You think this is healing? Chen's procedure won't merge us. It'll erase us both. Create some new thing wearing our face. Is that what you want? To die for the promise of something better? Kellen felt the truth in those words. Integration meant the death of both identities as they existed. But what was the alternative? Living like this is already death, he said quietly. You're not life, Kay. You're survival at any cost. And I'm tired of paying that price. The mental space began to crack. Reality bleeding through the edges. The procedure was progressing. Kay's form flickered, becoming less solid. You think you're choosing nobility, he snarled. But you're choosing oblivion. Everything I am. Everything you are. Gone. For what? So Elena can love a ghost? So Chen can publish a paper? Kellen felt himself fragmenting too. Boundaries dissolving. No. So the next kid who splits to survive has a chance at wholeness. So the technology serves its purpose. So we stop being a cautionary tale and become something better. Ka lunged, but passed through him like smoke. They were both fading. I could have made us immortal, Kay whispered, voice distorting. I'll remember, Gillen promised. The good and the bad. You won't be erased. You'll be part of something greater. The construct collapsed entirely. Darkness rushed in. Then, like dawn breaking, something new emerged. Not Kellan. not Kay, but a consciousness that remembered being both. The pain hit first. Every cruelty Kay had committed. Every weakness Kellen had shown. Years of conflict compressed into moments of overwhelming sensation. But with it came understanding. Kay hadn't been evil. He'd been a child's conception of strength, frozen in trauma, never allowed to mature. Kellen hadn't been weak. He'd been the hope that survived, despite everything. The part that believed in better. Together, they formed something complete. Eyes opened. The lab came into focus. Elena's face, tears streaming but smiling. Doctor. Chen, checking monitors, nodding with satisfaction. How do you feel? Chen asked carefully. The person in the chair considered. Kellen's memories. Cause, decisiveness. Both sets of skills. Both perspectives. But with the wisdom to choose which to apply. Like I've been sleepwalking in two different dreams, he said. Voice subtly different. Not Kellen's uncertainty or Kay's edge, but something balanced between. And now I'm finally awake. Elena searched his face. Is it really you? Both of you? He nodded slowly. All of me. For the first time, the integration was successful, but he could feel the weight of it. Every moment, Kay had been in control. Every plan, every manipulation, including things Kellen had never suspected. The police, he said, sitting up. Despite Chen's protests, I need to talk to them. Turn myself in. There are things, crimes Kay committed using my identity. They need to be answered for. Elena gripped his hand tighter. You weren't responsible. You didn't know. But he shook his head. I am now. That's what integration means. Accepting all of it. The brilliant and the terrible. Kay embezzled funds. Manipulated contracts. Hurt people who got in his way. Those victims deserve justice. Doctor. Chen looked troubled. The legal system isn't equipped to handle this. DID as a defense has a mixed history at best. They could lock you away for crimes you had no conscious part in. Maybe, he acknowledged, but running makes me no better than Kay was. And the technology, the research, it needs someone at the helm who understands both its potential and its dangers. Even if that's from a minimum security cell with supervised lab access, he stood, testing his balance. The world felt different through integrated eyes. Sharper, but also heavier with responsibility. There's something else, he said. Memory surfacing. Kay had plans. Other subjects. People he'd been manipulating into the program. We need to stop that. Some of them might not survive what he intended. Police voices echoed from above. They'd found the entrance. Go. He told Elena, you don't need to be part of this. You've been through enough. But she stood with him. We started this together. We'll finish it together. Doctor. Chen began backing up data, preparing for the inevitable seizure of equipment. For what it's worth, she said. I'm proud of you. Both of you. All of you. The door burst open. Officers flooded in. Weapons drawn. Kellen Moore, you're under arrest for embezzlement, assault, and suspected murder. She's alive, he said. Hands raised. Elena Vasquez is alive. I'll cooperate fully. But we need to talk about neurophase. About what the technology was really being used for. The lead detective looked between them, confused but cautious. Sir, step away from the equipment. Ma'am, are you Elena Vasquez? Elena nodded. I am, and I'm prepared to give a full statement about everything that's happened. But, detective, you need to understand, the man you're arresting isn't exactly the man who committed those crimes. It's complicated. As they cuffed him, the newly integrated person who had been Kellen and Kay felt an unexpected peace. The road ahead would be difficult. Legal battles, ethical inquiries, the challenge of running a company from whatever position the justice system allowed. But for the first time in 20 years, he faced it with clarity. No more lost time. No more hidden selves. Just the complex, sometimes contradictory truth of being human. The news would have a field day. The technology community would be split between those who saw him as a cautionary tale and those who recognized the breakthrough, but none of that mattered, as much as the simple fact that he was whole. As they led him up the stairs, he caught a glimpse of himself in a darkened window. Same face, but somehow different. The hollowness was gone, replaced by something harder to define. Acceptance, perhaps, or just the exhausted relief of someone who'd finally stopped running from himself. 6 months later, the courtroom was packed. Media, scientists, ethicists, and curious observers all waited for the verdict. The trial had been unlike anything the legal system had encountered. Expert witnesses had testified about dissociative identity disorder, about the nature of consciousness and culpability. Brain scans had been submitted as evidence. Videos of Kay's actions contrasted with Kellen's documented personality. In the end, the jury found him guilty of the financial crimes. Those had paper trails Kay couldn't deny. But the assault charges were reduced, and the murder charge dropped entirely once Elena's testimony made the situation clear. The sentence was unprecedented. 10 years, with the possibility of supervised release for continued work on the neurophase technology under strict ethical oversight. From his minimum security cell, he watched the news coverage. Neurophase stock had plummeted initially, then soared as investors realized the implications of successful integration therapy. Under new leadership, Elena had stepped in as interim CEO. The company was pivoting toward therapeutic applications. The first clinical trials for PTSD treatment were showing remarkable results. He wrote in his journal, a requirement of his therapy: identity is not singular or static. We are all multitudes, shaped by experience, trauma, and choice. The question isn't whether we contain contradictions, but how we reconcile them. Kay was not my enemy, he was my shadow. Cast by the light, I was too afraid to stand in fully. Integration isn't about victory. It's about acceptance. Letters arrived daily. Some from victims of Kay's schemes, full of anger, he accepted as justified. Others from people with DID, asking if the treatment could work for them. He answered what he could, always with the caveat that every mind was different, every split unique. Dr. Chen visited monthly, monitoring for any signs of disintegration. So far, the fusion held. There were moments, flashes of Kay's rage at confinement, Kellen's guilt over actions he couldn't have prevented, but they passed through him now rather than consuming him. Elena came too, though their relationship had evolved beyond romance into something deeper and more complex. She was building the company they'd dreamed of, and he was paying the price for what it had almost become. "Do you regret it?" she asked during one visit. "The integration. You could have chosen the cage protocol. Kept your innocence." He considered carefully. Innocence and ignorance are close cousins. I couldn't claim one while harboring the other. Kay did terrible things, but he did them using my body, my life, my potential. Integrating means owning that. All of it. It's not comfortable, but it's honest. She smiled sadly. The world isn't ready for that level of honesty. The number of people who want to weaponize the technology, to use it for control, rather than healing. "That's why I'm here," he replied. "A living reminder of what happens when we try to cage parts of ourselves rather than understand them. Every dictator, every abuser, every person who hurts others, they're all running from some split in themselves. The technology just makes it literal. A guard signaled time was up. As Elena prepared to leave, she turned back. The boy from Phoenix, the one Kay had recruited for the program. We found him. Got him real help. Not what Kay had planned. He asked about you. I told him you were becoming who you were meant to be. After she left, he returned to his cell. Small, but not uncomfortable. Books lined one wall. Neuroscience, philosophy, poetry, a laptop. Monitored, but functional. Let him continue consulting on the research. He pulled up the latest brain scans from the integration, where once there had been two distinct patterns. Now there was one, complex, layered, but unified. The scientists were calling it the Moore Protocol. Though he'd protested the name, fame wasn't the goal. Understanding was. That night, he dreamed of the abandoned hospital, but instead of decay and shadows, it was filled with light. Children who'd been broken were being made whole. Not erased, not fixed, but integrated, accepted, given the chance to be all of themselves instead of fragments at war. He woke with tears on his face. Kellen's compassion and Kay's fierce protectiveness finally aligned in purpose. Years passed. The technology evolved. Ethical boards governed its use strictly, but for those who needed it, who'd been shattered by trauma into pieces that couldn't coexist, it offered hope, not erasure, but integration, not perfection, but wholeness. He served 7 years of his sentence, released early for good behavior, and continued contribution to the field. The day he walked out, Elena was waiting, older, grayer, but smiling. So, she said, what now? He looked at the sky, really looked at it for the first time as a complete person. Now we continue the work. Carefully, ethically, but boldly. There are still so many people trapped between versions of themselves. They walked toward the car, past protesters who called him a monster and supporters who hailed him as a pioneer. He was neither, or perhaps both. That was the lesson. People weren't singular narratives, but complex stories with multiple chapters, some darker than others. The integration hadn't made him good or evil. It had made him whole. And in that wholeness, he'd found something Kay had never understood, and Kellen had been too frightened to claim: the power to choose who he wanted to be. Moment by moment, with full knowledge of who he had been, the road stretched ahead, uncertain but his own. No more lost time. No more hidden selves. Just the difficult, necessary work of being fully human. In his final journal entry from prison, he'd written, "We are all multiple. Trauma just makes it obvious. The question isn't whether you have a shadow self, but whether you're brave enough to shake hands with it. Integration isn't victory. It's peace. And peace, I've learned, is worth more than innocence." The car pulled away from the prison, heading toward a future that belonged to no single version of himself, but to all he had become. Behind them, the building faded into memory. Ahead, the work continued, one fractured soul at a time, one careful integration at a time, one choice at a time. The world wasn't ready for perfect honesty about the multiplicity of human nature, but it was ready to begin the conversation. And sometimes, that's all redemption requires: the willingness to begin.